Sound vibration speaks to our souls, speaks to our bodies. It bypasses the cognitive mind, and when that happens, a door opens, and people can go through that door and discover miracles and mysteries in themselves that they never imagined. My earliest experience is swinging on a swing that my dad made for me from a limb of an oak tree. And I would stay out there for hours singing. And I would sing to the sun, and the sun would hear me, and I would sing to the moon. I would love to stay up when it got dark, and I would sing to the moon and the stars, and I knew they could hear me. And so I lived in a world where I could sing to beings and celestial objects, and they responded. Well, my mother was a professional singer, so that's where actually my voice came from. And she sang with the big bands in the 1940s. She was actually a circus elephant rider. In those days, the circus would come into town, and she was the one who rode the elephant. Then a crucial period came when I individuated from my mom and decided to get a guitar. And for her, that was an evil instrument. She thought that if I picked up the guitar, I would become a drug addict. So I started writing country songs. And I went to Nashville, and the record engineer guys, I would go in for sessions and they would say, "You're really, really good. You're really talented. Just wait. Somebody's going to pick you up." It was autumn, early autumn, and I was walking across a cow pasture of my uncle's farm in North Carolina, and I sat underneath a tree, like folded my legs in like a half lotus. I didn't even know what I was doing. And then my hands went spontaneously into these mudras. And I'm sitting there underneath the tree like a yogi from Muskogee, and my hands are doing these weird mudras. I went into a deep place and the world disappeared. I had no sensory experience of the world. I thought it lasted for a few moments, but when I opened my eyes, the sun was setting. So several hours had passed, and several cows had wandered over and were staring at me when I opened my eyes. For whatever reason, a white boy is walking across a cow pasture one autumn afternoon and goes into a spontaneous yogic samadhi and experiences Satchitananda. And the impact of that was so profound that for hours afterwards, I was in love with the world. I could feel the love of everything. And so I started to search for what the meaning was of that experience. And then I discovered neurophysiology, and that's when I began to understand the mystical experiences. The discovery that neurophysiology could be used as a language to explain mystical experiences. And the whole time, while I was going through my scientific training, I was going deeper into the mysticism of the East, the yoga of India, Taoism of China, Egyptian alchemy, Tibetan Buddhism. I was taking a class on psychosis, which is basically the mental state where a person is seeing things that aren't there and hearing things that aren't there. I was on my way to this class and I had read the notes, so I knew what it was talking about. And on either side of me are two angels, suddenly, out of the blue, complete with the friggin' wings. They're about 9 feet tall, with white wings, brilliant white, emanating white light brilliantly. And so I became absolutely freaked out, like, I'm going to a class on psychosis and two angels are walking beside me. What if I walk in the class and nobody sees them? Or worse, what if I walk in the class and people do see them? How do I explain them? Shortly after that, I graduated, and I had an encounter with a being that identified itself as Fayadria. And Fayadria made sounds, and so these were the sounds, the precursors to the work that I'm doing now. They were sounds, they were not music, they were tones. So I started writing music for my clients to accelerate their psychotherapeutic process, to deepen their experience. So I formed Acoustic Brain Research in 1983 to scientifically look at how music and sound affect the brain. And then I had an encounter that was totally unexpected and out of the blue and uninvited with a group of beings called the Hathors. And they gave me some information about geometry in the brain and said if I taught this to some people, I would observe rapid change, improvement in brain function and creativity. And I did tests, and by God, that's exactly what happened. It was amazing. And then from them, when I started working shamanically with drums, then the whole shamanic world opened up. And animal spirits can come through my voice, and shamans and beings from other traditions often come through. I feel like sometimes I'm like a doorway. I just open the door, or I'm a chauffeur and I look in the back seat to see who I'm driving at the moment when I do the work. It was a cold, rainy night in Zurich. And Judi asked, would I see if I could bring forward Mary Magdalene? And this power came through that just throttled both of us. It was so amazing. I've worked with a lot of beings of different traditions, and this one was like, wow, I don't know what this is, but this is power and intelligence. Because it said relationship could be the alchemical container. And relationship was a valid form of alchemy, and what was central in this alchemy, unlike other forms of alchemy, was the feminine. Hare Radha, Hare Radha. And I think there is an energy that the feminine aspect of human nature is coming forward, because that's the only thing that will save us. I remember very clearly reading a book with pictures, and I remember turning the pages and seeing it very clearly. And it was called The Boy Who Sang to the World. I lost the book, and then I started searching, and no such book exists. I was reading it in some other realm of consciousness. For me, that's what I became, was the boy who sang to the world. The lighting crew was exceptional this evening. Would like to thank the crew. Yeah.